Where do you work?
At Amazon.
I currently work at Google.
I'm working at Amazon.
I work at Microsoft.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. You're watching Code Ray, and today we're gonna do something that a lot of you guys wanted to know about. We're going to go out on the streets of Seattle where there's so many, tons of software engineers, and we're gonna ask specifically the Amazon software engineers how they got a job at Amazon. So I hope this video will give you guys a better intro into what you can do in order to get a job at one of the top tech companies in the world. All right, so without further ado, let's get going. What's your name?
Ted,
And where do you work, Ted?
Amazon.
Amazon, awesome. So the question is, what advice can you give like other software engineers for how you got your job at Amazon?
Really study for the coding interviews.
So how did you study? Like, what did you use to study? Is there something specific?
Just this book that had a lot of questions. I didn't use Leetcode or anything.
What was the book called?
Elements of programming interviews, I think.
Awesome. And what programming languages do you use?
I used Python for my interviews.
Oh, hey there. So if you didn't know this, Amazon has these giant balls here, and I'm pretty sure they're greenhouses, but I'm not exactly sure what they have in them because of COVID and they closed off. But if you know someone that works at Amazon, you can actually get inside these balls. And you know what? Let's just check it out right now. And you can't really get in, so you know what? We're gonna ask some more people. But if you didn't know, Amazon does has these balls, and they're called Bezos balls. Where do you work?
I work at a company called Carla.
Did you used to work at Google because you got that Google shirt?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so basically, you used to work at Google. How did you get your job at Google as a hardware engineer?
Experience I got in the manufacturing industry helped me to get this job.
During your like interview process and the whole thing, what was like the biggest thing that helped you get the job?
Being able to explain how you solve problems, technical problems.
Ooh, that's a really good point. How did you like work on getting better at that? Because I know a lot of people out there might have trouble with that.
Create a plan. You need to practice. You need to be ready to present the way you solve the problem, and that's pretty much it.
Is there something that really helped you? Some materials that you used that really helped you with the interview?
The way you explain it in a simple way, clear, and just keep in mind that you need to tell a story at the beginning, a middle, and an end.
Where do you work?
Amazon,
Amazon, and what do you work as?
business intelligence engineer.
What do you think was the key material or the best thing that helped you with your interview process for the job?
Yeah, experience, I would say.
Do you think experience weighs more or interviewing weighs more?
I think if you have the experience, the interview is just going to follow through. I mean,
awesome.
you don't need to prep for the interview specifically, I would say.
Okay, so where do you work currently?
I currently work at Google.
And what do you do at Google?
I'm a software engineer.
What is your key thing that helped you prepare for your Google software engineering interview?
There was this one GitHub for like coding interviews. I forgot the name.
So there's a GitHub for coding interviews?
Yeah.
Do you think like there's a material that other people can also find? Is the GitHub easy to find?
Yeah, it's really popular, like tens of thousands of stars, so it should be pretty easy to find.
What can you search for in order to find this GitHub?
I think just like awesome coding interviews or something. So I think that's actually the name of the GitHub repo.
That's actually named GitHub repo. Do you think it's still relevant for those getting into Google or like getting into other companies? And like, is there a specific book or material that also helped you?
There's a book called CLRS, Intro to Algorithms. Sounds pretty good.
Awesome. And how do you like your job at Google so far?
It's not too bad, very chill, very good pay, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Han. Thank you for your time, bro.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, so if you look here, you can see all these buildings. They're resident by mostly software engineers. And this is Seattle, and all these buildings are super nice. And basically what Amazon did was they just like bought out mostly this area, and they just like a lot of software engineers are here. So if you come work as a software engineer in Seattle, you'll get to see a lot of this. You'll be in a huge tech space, and it's super awesome at times, but it can be a huge monoculture because there's a lot of people in just the tech space here. And it really depends on what you like. So I would highly suggest trying to experience it in Seattle here. So where do you work?
I work at Microsoft.
You work at Microsoft. Awesome. Okay, what do you do at Microsoft?
I'm a data and applied scientist.
Data and applied scientist. So the question is, how did you get your job?
So I started as an intern at Microsoft, and I think the key element was just figuring out what Microsoft does and knowing enough about the company so you can cross-question your interviewers to kind of figure out what team they are in and what that team does and whether they're a good fit for you or not.
How did you get that internship when you applied?
So I think I started finding out really early in my freshman year itself.
Freshman year of college.
Yeah, you just start a communication channel with the recruiter and just keep at it. I think that was the biggest thing. I think that's how I got my first interview, was like, I kept following up. Yeah.
Where do you work?
At Amazon. So for an internship, I was doing my master's, and then at the same time I was applying to different companies. I sent my CV, and then they sent me a test, and then after the test I went through the interview process, and that's how I got.
All right, so if you didn't know what this is, if you've never heard of it before, it's called an Amazon Go. And I think this is something super cool that was made by Amazon. So essentially it's a place where if you have the Amazon Go app, you can essentially walk inside and pick out any item that you want, take it out without having to go through a cashier. And they're making it so that it's very easy for you to come in and out. And they actually have an Amazon Go over here in Seattle. I've actually never seen one before outside of Seattle, but maybe in California's Bay Area, but super cool. They have a bunch of food that you can look at. They have a huge amount of chefs, and you can just basically grab food wherever you want and just walk out. Check it out. And how did you prepare for the interview process? Was there something that helped you study?
Mostly I was studying computer science at the university, so that helped. But other than that, I also practiced some competitive competitive coding.
Did you use any specific materials or what websites or books that you used?
I used Leetcode. I practiced on Leetcode.
Oh, you practiced on Leetcode?
Yeah.
And can you give us a figure of how many questions you did? Because I know a lot of people tried doing Leetcode, but...
I think I was at around 150 questions.
150? Where do you work currently?
I am working at Amazon.
Amazon. And what do you do at Amazon?
I'm a software engineer.
Software engineer? How many years have you worked so far?
I joined Amazon last year.
During your interview process, what do you think was the biggest thing that helped you get into Amazon? And what was the key material that you used during your interview process?
I did Leetcode a lot.
How many questions did you do on Leetcode? A rough estimate amount, because a lot of people were wondering how many they should go and do it.
I did around 150.
150?
Uh-huh.
Okay, that's awesome. How was the interview process? Was it hard at all?
Yeah, it was hard. I mean, they're all hard. I've never had an easy interview, but I think the biggest thing about the Microsoft interview that I felt was they really wanted to understand your thinking process, and that was what is very helpful. Is talk it out when you're doing something and talk to them about the company, about what you want and about what they want.
Did you think there was a specific material that you used that helped you a lot? What did you?
Just all of that. Glassdoor, Leetcode. Just go out there. Literally Google it and you will find 101 blogs about it, and talk to people who've gone through the process in the last 1 year, because the process keeps changing. So talk to the people who've gone through it in the last 1 year, who can tell you what exactly it is right now, and talk to your recruiter. They'll tell you what the process is like.